There is nothing as special as the bond that a young child forms with an animal. It can be one of the most special relationships in she had been hurt and didn't make it. It broke little Lisa's heart, but then something else caught Nan's attention. The wolf had milk. Somewhere there were babies waiting for their mama to come home, and she never would. Lisa begged her Nan to search the woods to find and care for the puppies. Nan was planning on searching for them anyway, but she was worried that they wouldn't make it either. She knew that would hurt Lisa even more, but there was no way to protect her. She knew her granddaughter well enough to know she was never going to just go home. They searched everywhere, using wolf calls to try and convince the puppies to come out. Finally, they heard tiny whimpers. The pups came out of the den. 3 small wolves. They must have known that it wasn't their mom that was calling them, but hunger inspired them to come out anyway. Nan could see the puppies weren't too small. If they could get them to eat, they might actually have a chance. Quickly, Nan picked up one of the wolf puppies and showed Lisa how to carry it. Then she picked up the other 2 puppies herself, and they made their way home. At home, they put the pups in a box with some blankets, and they minced some meat for the puppies. Then Lisa sat with them and fed them by hand. At first, they didn't know how to eat the new meat, but quickly their hunger and instinct took over. They gulped the food down. From then on, Lisa would feed them a few times a day, and they loved her. They climbed all over her and licked her each time they saw her. The little pups adored Lisa, but they were still wild animals. Nan warned her that they weren't pets. They needed to teach the wolves how to survive on their own. They could be their own little pack, and having each other would be a big benefit to the little wolves. Nan let Lisa start to teach them how to live outside, hiding their food and letting them find it. They did all sorts of enrichment exercises with the wolves. At first, when they were just young pups, Nan and Lisa only took them for walks when they could be with them. Nan had built them a big paddock with their own den. But when they got bigger and it was safe, Nan and Lisa left the wolves to roam on their own. They came and went as they wanted, and in most senses, they lived just like any normal wolf would live. The only difference was that these wolves loved to cuddle with their little girl after school. It was a pretty awesome life. It had been almost 2 years, and the wolves came and went regularly. At this stage, Lisa was riding her four-wheeler to school all alone. She knew the land and she could get there and back. She might still be young, but she was a country kid who had grown up on the land. When Lisa got home from school one day, she couldn't find her grandmother. She searched everywhere, and then finally in the end, she heard Nan call from the barn. Nan was repairing a window that was higher up when the ladder broke and she fell. She threw her back out and she broke her arm. Nan couldn't get up on her own and she had been lying on the cold ground for a while. Lisa quickly ran and got their phone. She called for help. The first responders were far and they sent a helicopter to come and pick Nan up. There wasn't space in the helicopter for Lisa to go with Nan, and Nan didn't want to leave Lisa alone. She had to promise to go to the neighbors on her four-wheeler and get them to take care of her. Only then would Nan allow the medics to take her away. Lisa watched the helicopter take off and became smaller. She was planning on going to the neighbor, maybe just not right away. There was still time. First, she wanted to make sure that all the animals were cared for and looked after. She fed the goats and chickens and made sure they had clean water. She also made sure that the wolf den had plenty of bedding. Then she was finally ready to leave. But by then, it was getting darker. Lisa knew that Nan wouldn't like it if she rode in the dark, so instead, she decided to set out in the morning. She was just a little girl, but she believed that she could look after herself. However, she didn't know just how much danger she was in. And if Nan knew what happened just down the road, she would never have left Lisa alone. At the same time, Lisa was getting help for Nan. Two convicts had managed to escape from police custody. They were hiding in the forest and trying to get away. This led them to Nan and Lisa's land. During the night, they had slipped into the barn and were hiding there when morning came. Lisa ran straight into them when she was on her way to get on her four-wheeler to keep her promise to Nan. They grabbed the little girl and she screamed as hard as she could, but there weren't humans around for miles. The police search was too far to hear her cries, but the convicts weren't taking any chances. They tried to keep her quiet and threatened her with a gun. It didn't matter that she was just a little girl. If she was the only thing that stood between them and freedom, they were more than willing to hurt her. But what they didn't know was that she had some backup of her own. Suddenly, growls were heard behind the men, and the three wolves came into sight. They were always so sweet to Lisa, but now they were full-on wolves. The men dropped the girl and tried to run, but the wolves gave chase. They only let go when Lisa called them back. Once again, she called emergency services, and when they picked up the two convicts, they were bloody and bruised. This time, the police made sure that Lisa reached the neighbors. She stayed there until Nan could come home and they could all be reunited, the woman, the girl, and their wolf pack. Thank you for watching. Join us again for even more inspirational stories.